How's it going, everyone? Welcome back. Hopefully it's having a lovely day. The Cincinnati Bengals find a way to beat the Denver Broncos. Moved to 8-8. It was once 4-8, now 8-8. At 4-8, you remember there was a lot of talk saying you can't win an MVP being 4-8. Win some games, if the Cincinnati Bengals were to win out and somehow make playoffs, could you give Joe Burrow the MVP? And I will say this. I've been pushing this one off for a while, saying, hey, trying to keep the bias out of keep the Bengals bias out of it as a fan. I naturally just think your players are the best, right? Hey, Jamar Chase is the best wide receiver in the league, whatever. That's just how you want to feel because it's your team. Try to do my best to stay away from that. And it said, hey, there was a couple games this season where, hey, maybe if Joe Burrow, beginning of the season, maybe he wasn't hurt, maybe they dragged the ball down the field there. Maybe it was just Zach Taylor's poor play calling where, hey, if you're going to play that game, we're going to dig into a lot of stats. We didn't do coaching. Just thought about that. Hey, coaching's a heck of a stat, if you want to play that game. Because we just seen it this game again where it was horrible clock management. Joe Burrow led his team down the field 3 times to win a football game. And you have horrible clock management. You throw a screen pass to the sideline. Chase could have fallen down quicker possibly, but you was leading him to the sideline. That was a design quick pass out to the sideline, out of play, stop the clock. Then unfortunately, Chase Brown gets hurt. Where, again, you put the Broncos in a situation, get the football back and make a play because they stopped the clock. Just horrible clock management. Of course, you don't want to run it 3 straight times, but you do want to run it once, force them to use 1 timeout, right? And, I did like the second time around where they said, put the ball in Joe Burrow's hands. I think the Bengals are at this point situation time in the season where you put the ball in Joe Burrow's hands every single time, including at the 2-yard line in overtime, when a field goal wins the football game. And that's what they did. Coaching mistakes. Mistakes that Zach Taylor has learned from. But nonetheless, let's talk about Joe Burrow and his MVP. Because now he's got my attention. He's got that big signature win. Joe Burrow has now torn apart a couple big teams this season that are supposed to be top-notch defensively. And the Broncos were one of them, saying, hey, with Riley Moss back, this is a whole different Denver Broncos defense. Didn't look like it to Joe Burrow. You looked how many times this guy was slinging it 10, 12 yards down the field to wide open receivers. Sacked 7 times. And that's where I want to start. Let's start with the big hitters. Let's talk about offensive lines. Let's talk about defensive lines. We're talking, see, this is the thing. What blows my mind when it comes to the MVP race every single year is 2 things. One, it's a team, for some reason it's a team award. Imagine Mike Trout never winning an MVP because his team was always horrible. For some reason, it's a team award. That, to me, doesn't make a lot of sense. Of course, it does make sense where you have to at least put your team in a position to make playoffs, at least be competitive. They're here. They're here. But the most valuable player is the most valuable player. To me, you look at the most valuable player and say, hey, can I take this player out of my team and still look like this team with any other player in the league? Can I take Joe Burrow out from under center, put Josh Allen there, and still see an 8-8 Bengals football team? Can I take Joe Burrow out of under center, put Lamar Jackson there in this exact situation, and see the Bengals as an 8-8 football team? Can I take Lamar Jackson out of Baltimore and put Joe Burrow there and have the same exact record or better on that football team? That's the most valuable player. Not can I take the entire offensive line with me, or the kicker, or the defense. But let's dive into this offensive line set. This is why it's so huge to me, because you get a lot of talk about the weapons Joe Burrow has. Oh, he's got Chase, he's got Higgins. One thing about the greats, one thing about the Hall of Fame quarterbacks, they're going to bring up anybody around them. Jamar Chase last season when Joe Burrow was out was averaging 56 yards a game. That's not like Jefferson. Remember when Jefferson was out? When their quarterback was out, he's got Sam Darnold throwing to him right now. And look how good Justin Jefferson's always been consistently good. I'm not trying to dog on Jamar Chase. I'm just saying, when you have a guy that is good as Joe Burrow, he has the anticipation, the poise, the accuracy, the ability to extend plays, the ability to get you the football, he elevates your game. He elevates T. Higgins' game. T. Higgins, I hate to say it, but I think T. Higgins falls down to the wayside when he leaves Cincinnati. He can't stay healthy. And I just don't see him putting those numbers up in another offense like he does with Joe Burrow. And again, you credit Joe Burrow for that. T. Higgins, an excellent football player. But Joe Burrow makes him a wide receiver 1. And this is the thing with these, we're getting distracted. Let's talk about the offensive line stats. Pass block win rates. Baltimore, second. Buffalo, sixth. Cincinnati, 31st. You got Baltimore and Buffalo's offensive line win rate in the pass block win rate 69%, 70%. Joe Burrow's is 51%, 20% lower. 1 in 5. Which, oddly enough, if you want to be technical, 1 in 5 offensive linemen, that means 1 in every 5 of those offensive linemen is going to get beat every single snap more than any other team, where you'd say, hey, maybe one guy got beat, well, the Bengals are getting beat by 2 here. Maybe none got beat, one got beat here. That's a lot of pressures. And there's a reason he leads the league in knockdowns this season. Joe Burrow does. And you take it a step further. There is only 2 teams in the NFL right now who are in playoff spots, whose teams are outside, or we should say bottom 10 in the league. Bottom 10 in the league in pass block win rate, run block win rate. There's only 2 teams in the playoffs. 9-7, Houston. 8-7, Atlanta. Remember when we talked about CJ Stroud? What happened to CJ Stroud? How great he was. All of a sudden, he's taking a lot of pressure this season. What's happening? Is that a coincidence? Probably not, because that's 99% of quarterbacks in the league. When they take a lot of pressure, they struggle. Remember Tom Brady early in the season, offensive line issues. What's up with Tom Brady? I remember to this day. On to Cincinnati, they couldn't protect the quarterback, and he made mistakes. What happened? Aaron Rodgers, same story. 2-3, 2-2, 2-4. What's happening? Can't protect the quarterback. They figured out MVPs. It's difficult. It is extremely difficult. Patrick Mahomes this season having his worst season of his career, really, some would say. I know he's losing weapons. It's not the first time he's lost weapons, though. He's been sacked 37 times. By a mile the most he's been sacked. Worst season of his career. Josh Allen, sacked 37 times. He's been sacked 30 plus times, a couple times in his career. Numbers are strongly deflated compared to what he's doing this season. It's very, very difficult to do what Joe Burrow is doing. The top 10 teams, as far as pass block win rate is concerned this season, the top 10 teams in pass block win rate, every single one of them are in playoffs. I am trying in a playoff spot, we should say, to do my best to just stress how important an offensive line is to a football team's success in this league. It's huge. The Bengals do not have one. 31st in the league, and Joe Burrow is putting his team in a position to make the playoffs. Want to go a step farther? Let's just talk about the running game. Because your favorites right now are Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. And again, I'm not trying to, these are all, to be perfectly clear, these are excellent football players. All of them. But you have to choose one to be the best on the planet on that particular season. Derrick Henry's averaging 5.8 yards per carry. James Cook's averaging 5.1 yards per carry. Chase Brown is averaging 4.3 yards per carry. Your kickers. Tyler Bass is kicking over 80%. Justin Tucker, down season, kicking around 73. The Bengals combination of Evan McPherson and Cade York are kicking at a clip of 67%. The Bengals are one of only 2 football teams in the league right now that have a winning record or 500 where they are bottom 10 in the league outside the top 20 in pass block win rate, run block win rate, pass rush win rate, run stopping win rate. We'll get it out. Bottom in the trenches across the board, horrible. The only other team's the Falcons. The Falcons, who, by the way, are 8-7 in one of the worst divisions in all of football. And the Falcons, by the way, again, want to play the game. Bijan Robinson's the main focus there, not Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins is a good football player. They got some weapons. Kirk Cousins, they got some weapons. Drake London, Kyle Pitts. They got some guys out there that can catch a football. Bijan Robinson, playmaker. But here's the fun part. Here's the kicker. Kirk Cousins is averaging 250 yards per game. 18 touchdowns, 16 interceptions, 51.6 quarterback QBR rating this season. That is compared to Joe Burrow averaging 290 yards per game, 42 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, and a 76.6 quarterback rating this season. I know Kirk Cousins isn't Joe Burrow, but remember, Kirk Cousins got throwing 4,200, 4,500 yards consistently for a long time. It's just, again, something to show how difficult it is to be quarterback in the league, how difficult it is to move the football up and down the field, to win football games when the rest of your team is not there. Bengals have allowed 417 points so far this season. Again, you want to play throw the Falcons in there because we're talking about the trenches. They're at 349. 417, 349 points allowed per game. The Falcons have scored 327 points this season. That is compared to the Bengals, 453. Not even close. The only close comp for Joe Burrow this season isn't even close when it comes to, trenches, at least. Let's talk about, actually, while we're here, while we're on the defensive side of the football, we got a lot to cover. There's a lot here. What we just really dug into this one, if you haven't been able to tell. Let's talk about the defense real quick. There is only, of the teams that have allowed 300, remember, Bengals 417 points allowed this so far in the season on defense. Of the teams that have allowed 375 plus yards defensively this season, they have a combined record, excluding the Bengals. The Bengals are 8-8. Excluding the Bengals, they have a combined record of 19-72. 19-72. Wild numbers. Not the defense. Sure as heck ain't the trenches. Chase Brown's been all right. Chase Brown's been solid, really solid, but he's far less the running back, at least right now, to James Cook and Derrick Henry been this season. We brought up the kickers. Kickers are important. Remember how many doinks? The Bengals just about lost another one due to bad kicking. A lot of teams trust their kicker when they get close. Baltimore's done it for years with Justin Tucker. When you get within field goal range, you kick the ball, put it between the uprights, win the football game. There's been countless times the Bengals have missed kicks this season. Late in games, game winners. Maybe if they make one or two more, now they're 10-6. Is that Joe Burrow's fault? Because if Lamar Jackson did the same exact thing almost every single year except this one, if Lamar Jackson got the ball to the frickin' 50, Justin Tucker was putting it in the uprights, right? Across the board. It is everywhere you look, minus the receivers. Joe Burrow's team's weaker. And you have to look at that and say, when you look at the MVP, how much does one player bring up the team? How much better is he than everybody else in your team to help you win? What is he doing across the league? I mean, there's no question about it. When you look at how much he's been pressured, how much he's been sacked this season, there's nobody in the league better at creating time under pressure, throwing with anticipation, processing, reading a play, and throwing with accuracy. We've seen it again this day. Joe Burrow makes it look easy. He's under pressure, 7 sacks in a football game, constantly has to drop back 3 steps, look for the quick outlook, look for the pass, quick play. You know how difficult that is against an elite pass defense? And he's done it twice this season. A good pass defense, good pass rush when they can't block already, and you had a good pass rush, and now you're putting all pro corners on your stud receivers. How difficult it is to move the football down the field in those situations, and how easy Joe Burrow just made it look. It's incredible. Maneuvering around the pocket, making tough throws off balance. He did it again today. What did he scramble out to the right? Was kind of falling sideways. Just chucked it 15 yards down the field on a dime, right to him. And I guess we'll stay with probably what's my favorite statistic. There has never been a quarterback in the past decade, might have been longer than that. I did not research 45 years back. 10 years was enough for me. Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, though. Manning was close. Manning might have been exiting. Tom Brady, Patty Mahomes, Josh Allen. There's been some studs in the last 10 years. No quarterback has thrown for over 4,500 yards, 40 plus touchdowns, fewer than 10 interceptions, and had a 75 plus QBR rating, whilst also being sacked 40 plus times in a season. Nobody besides Joe Burrow. Nobody. Process that one. Heck, you want to go a step farther? Nobody's done more than 2 of the 4. Nobody's checked off 3 boxes of those four criteria besides Joe Burrow. It's crazy to look at this team and say 8-8, and it's crazy to think, why are you not 12-4? Why are you not 10-6? But then you look at how incomplete the rest of this football team is. We seen it again yesterday. Games on the line. Jordan Battle, wide open tackle, takes a horrible route to the quarterback. Could have had him stop behind the line of scrimmage. Horrible route. Missed the tackle at the first down. Got out of play. You know, they may have not went to overtime if he makes that tackle in play. And that's just been the MO of the season. Cade York dings one off the post. Here's another one we ain't going to talk about. Could have talked about. The Bengals wide receivers have more fumbles this season than the Bills and Ravens do combined. Again, we talk about the weapons. We talk about whose fault it is. Why is Joe Burrow not winning these football games? They're putting the ball on the ground a lot. Defense is struggling. They're turning the football over. They're making bad mistakes in special teams. They're losing across the board. The one thing they have been exceptional at is penalties. But besides that, they've been losing across the board everywhere. And somehow, you look at all these numbers, you look at all these stats, you look at everything the Bengals have done this season. This football team should be a 3 or 4 win football team. Maybe worse. But Joe Burrow's got them at 8-8 in a position to make the playoffs because Joe Burrow has been playing at an MVP level. Joe Burrow should be, by all counts, if wins and losses weren't as important as it was, as the team as a whole wasn't as important as it was, would be your MVP this season. Will he win it? If they beat Pittsburgh next week and Joe Burrow shocks everyone once again against another good defense, and then they make a run, oh, I tell you what, it's going to get interesting. It's going to get real interesting. We'll see what happens. Love y'all's thoughts. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.